All right, welcome to Trendy Options. It is June 21st, 2018. It is Thursday afternoon, and let's go ahead and go over a recap for today. It was a pretty slow, boring day, but at the same time, it's a great day to reflect and look back and see what we did right and see what we did wrong. All right, but first of all, let's go over what we got into and what we got out of today. Okay, so the first thing we did this morning is that we bought an Apple. Well, I bought back my Apple put. Okay, so I sold a put short. Okay, made a little bit of money on that, bought it back, then kept the other one to protect myself, made some money on that, sold out of that, which helped define my loss in my long calls that we have that expired 20 July. Okay, that's the first thing we did. Then we got out of Microsoft. Okay, and I tweeted that I lost $100 on that, but looking back at the P&L is actually about 80 bucks. Okay, so I just want to focus on, if I'm not feeling it, I want to take small losses and I want to have big gains. Okay, or bigger gains, I should say, than my losses. The next thing that we looked at, we scaled out at Starbucks for the actual price that we had noted the day before. Okay, and then we waited for our next price and we got out full there. Okay, and we'll go back to these charts in a few minutes just to look over those. Also, I got into NVIDIA for a quick scalp. It was positive right away. I should have just pulled my stop up, but I wanted price to take its time to see if we could indeed bounce today. But today proved not to be a bouncing kind of day. Okay. All right, and then next thing we did, I put on a put credit spread for FedEx, and I defined my risk there, looking at like a $98 total loss for a $150 reward. And so far, that's not doing what we needed to do, but we'll check back tomorrow, right? Always a new day. So really, at the end of the day, if we get like a nice bounce in the morning, like we did first thing this morning, I'm able to get out of that put credit spread for a profit and then maybe let the other one that I bought for protection ride down and then make profit from that, if that makes any sense. But we'll have to watch the futures overnight, okay? All right, so we got out of Starbucks and that was pretty much it. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what our day looked like. It was pretty simple. I do have to say we got out of PayPal at the right time, right at its peak today. So we've had some really good sells this week. All right. Now, there's two that are sitting in our account that are not doing so hot, and that's Apple and that is Overstock. Okay. Overstock being down like 51%. Apple, I think, at like 42%, something like that. So we'll go over those, okay, before we finish up this video. First things first, let's get over here to futures. They actually just opened 1 minute ago. So let's go over to ES. Let's go to the 4-hour. Okay. All right, line in the sand, 2752. You can see here we open up below it. Most likely, if we want to continue this downtrend, we're going to come up to this, maybe peek up towards this box and then break right back down. Okay. Or even touch this line and then break right back down. Okay. I just have this overall feeling there's just no catalyst out there. So any of these bounces that we see at night, what was the catalyst? Why did it go up? There's like no reason for it to go up, to be quite honest with you. All right, to the downside here, we have 61.8 that we bounced off this afternoon. Probably retest that here in a few minutes. And if this breaks down, I do expect 2740. T2 down here at 2728 and T3 back to the 50, which was the bell curve at 2705. All right, to the upside here, T1 at 2769, T2 at 2783, T3 2797. Let's go here to the NQ. Not looking so hot. Line in the sand, 7236, T1 to the downside, 7205, 7147, 7100. To the upside, T1, 7287, T2 at 7359, T3 at 7490. Over here for the YM, Dow Jones, looking at a 4-hour again. LIS, this guy's been a huge laggard. Huge. 24462. To downside, T1 24173, T2 23950, T3 coming in at the back of the box here at 23474. To the upside, a little bit of resistance coming in here at 24655. T2 back to the bell curve at 24889. T3 25182. RTY or E-mini Russell right here, LIS 1693.3. To the downside, a little bit of support here at 1688. T1 1678, T2 1669, T3 at 1658. To the upside, T1 1707.7, T2 1720.4, T3 at 1738. All right, let's go over our positions real quick. Apple, despite the down day, overall, for Apple to only be down $1 today says something. What does it say? I gave you plenty of opportunities to get out, maybe? That could be one. However, remember the bigger picture is we have till 20 July. Positions down about 40%. And I'm looking at it holding some major levels here. So if I come over to the week, what I'm seeing is that we broke below the 23.6. Remember, I called this level super bullish, and I still call the 38.2 bullish. It's when we break down below the 38.2 that I do not want to be in a position long term. The 50 is a bell curve, and you would expect price to consolidate there, go sideways. So for right now, what we're looking at is a bounce off the continuation wick, which was right here, and we got that bounce today. Okay, so we'll be watching this closely and cut our losses if needed. Again, currently down about 41% or so. Going over here, let's look at Starbucks. Why did I get out of Starbucks? Technically, I got out because we hit the 61.8. And in order for me to be a good trader, I have to think both ways on both sides of the trade. If I were looking to get long this position, I would probably take my shot here at the 61.8. What we do know is that on the bigger picture here, we have a huge demand down here at 41.72. Okay, not only is right here your zone, but right here we actually already picked up orders. Okay, what we could be looking at as well is 88.7% of the previous down candle into the zone. This puts us right at our 88.7%, which is pretty cool. So overall, big picture, Starbucks can indeed, over a long period of time, hit $44.35. Now I will bring up something that was pretty interesting in this. If you go over here to trade to Starbucks, I just happened to be looking around today, just having some fun here. And let me see if I can find those. Not there. And just give me a second, I apologize. I want to say it was pretty far out, actually. Let's see if we maybe into the year. Let's go. Maybe the end of the year. Yeah, look at this OI. 227,000. 231,000. Wow. 2,628 volume today on the 45s. Do you think they see what we see? So I want to get out of this just in case there's a dead cat bounce. Okay, so tomorrow we might get that bounce. And if I notice if we bounce, say, halfway up to 50.62 to 53.38 and it can't sustain that momentum and it starts to break down again, we will then attack T2. Okay, so we're fully out of the position here. T2 over a longer period of time, T3 even longer. So these are pretty cheap. What we do not know is the variable, which is time. All right, but in this case, we are using a weekly chart. We want to be using a higher time frame and looking out a lot further for these puts. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and go over here to Overstock. Okay, not doing so well. Okay, but what I will tell you is on a 4-hour, Overstock came into another zone. This again does not expire until 20 July. It actually bounced right out the zone. So what I'm curious to see tomorrow is that it can hold 35.96. Yes, I do give a little bit more leeway to something that we might be holding longer term, okay, but not too much leeway. So these are the levels that I'm looking. If we go back to Roku, we sold at the 61.8, exactly at the 61.8, because technically it is hard to get past a trend. We were in a downtrend. In order for us to continue and make it an uptrend, we must break the 61.8. Therefore, I know that we have a rule here. 3 times we must knock before they open the door. This was not the third time. This was the second time. So if price can consolidate here and move its way up slowly, I would expect to break the 61.8 on our third attempt to breaking the 61.8. So that third knock, okay? If we break below the 50, then I will definitely hold out and evaluate Roku for that position going up into the gap fill, okay? Usually when you get this kind of breakdown into a 4-hour and it can't hold, it makes sense that we would test the 50. Okay, so we want to have an alarm set right around here in this area, at or below 44.38. Okay, all right, so going into tomorrow afternoon, there's a couple stocks that I want to talk about. CMG. It's funny because I bring this up tonight. I had no idea it was going to be blasted all over the news. Okay, but what I do know is that we're creating higher highs within the zone. And what I do know is that on a bigger picture, on the weekly, we are testing the 50. Okay, don't get this confused. This is not the first attempt. We are looking at pivot high to pivot low. Okay, and we're looking for this move into the 50. In a downtrend, okay, we expect when price goes up to the 50, you will short the heck out of it. Okay, so all I'm looking for is 503 into this. The time is the variable. I'm looking possibly 30 to 45 days out. Let's see what kind of money we're talking about. Let's go with 29 days. 503 is our target to 505. We have some right here. A little bit of volume today at 100. We're looking 500 by 620, 410 by 490. I don't want to pick that strike. I want to pick something more in between here. Okay, so this might be a longer term position for me, a little bit more capital because I'm looking at a little bit more time. So possibly looking at a delta 37, okay, or delta 40. So I'm looking at allocating anywhere between $1 to $1,300 here. Okay, if you want to go out and you don't have that, you can do a couple things. You can go shorter time frame and say, you know what? I think what they have on their menu deserves a little bit more respect than that, John. I think it's going to happen in 15 days. Okay, come down here, same thing. We're going to pick the same target. You can see here it's a lot cheaper. Remember, theta decay, okay, and understand how it burns. Theta in this instance, what this means, if you're unaware, this is how much money you will lose every day if the stock just stays still. So stock doesn't even need to move up or down. In this case, if you were to buy the 500s, you'd pay $295 between 400. Let's say you pay $350. Your option is going to lose $31 a day, no matter how you cut the burrito. All right, let's go back over here. Now, I want to talk about a couple things that I'm interested in, and that's banks. So the first thing I'm going to go over is one who I think has the most potential. Okay, so here we are looking at Citigroup, and we're using a week time frame. All right, and in that week time frame, we have come into a zone. Yeah, buddy. All right, so what I'm looking at here is to the upside. I have T1 at 70.24, T2 73.03, T3 at 75. Now banks have been weak, right? So what makes me think we can get to T3? Honestly, I don't really think we can. Okay, I'm just being very honest here. But I do think that with some nice momentum, we can definitely get into T1. And anything beyond that, it's just bonus for us, correct? All right, so let's look at a couple things here. We have earnings. Earnings is very important. What we know about earnings is price likes to come into earnings at some point, usually about a month and a half out or so. And I haven't even looked at the date. I'll have to look at that here in a second. And then we find us a zone, and then we typically ride up 50 to 61.8% of this move right here. Okay, so 50% of that, you're looking at roughly there around $70 to $73. Okay, so let's look over here at the earnings. All right, 713. Actually, it's right around the corner. So this one, whew, man, it better start moving. All right, but it does give us about a month to get a nice little move in here, guys. So I'm kind of excited about that. And you can see the T2 is the 50 at 73. But first things first, let's just get to T1 at 71. Let's look at some option prices real quick, okay? Now I'm doing these live with you, so I'm just gonna have to thumb through them. What we do know is that earnings is coming up. Let's look at it one more time. Sorry about that. Short-term memory right here. July 13th. Okay, so let's capture that. Let's do July 13th. Okay, we're looking at 70 to 73. Okay, you notice a little bit of action over here in the 69s and the 70s. They're not expecting much of a move here. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if this guy is part of this down here. Okay, just my guess. All right, so looking at this, prices are pretty cheap. Okay, but what you want to understand is what kind of average trading range does this have? What is the expected move? And how much are you going to make on your delta? You know, with something like this, because we don't expect it to move big, I wouldn't go really far out of the money, because if you go far out of the money and you actually get this nice run, you only got 21 delta. Now, I understand that could change. Gamma can change and delta can change simultaneously, right? So just something to think about. But with these smaller stocks, personally, what I like to do is get a little bit closer in the money, okay, and then play that into earnings. All right, so possibly what I'll be looking at is a strike somewhere at 66.5 to possibly $68. Currently trading at 67.63. Okay, let's go back over here to charts. All right, to the downside, if this doesn't pan out, I would expect price to come to 64.15 and 60.58. Let's go over here to JPM. All right, same thing here. I actually like JPM as well. Short term, we're looking at a couple things here. Earnings, again, 713. Downtrend. Let's look for the 50. Okay, 50 coming in about 112. My T1, I have it just under there because these banks have been weak. So T1 here at 110, know that you can get 112. Overall, you got T2 way up here at 116, 117. Did the banks get all the way back up to 88.7 other highs? Jeez, who knows? I don't think so. But okay. Another thing to notice here, we are creating higher lows out of our buy zone. Okay. However, if we break down, expect T1 103, T2 99.48. This is a long-term entry. I have an alarm set here. If they tank on earnings, be looking to get long around these areas. All right, let's go over here to GS, Goldman Sachs. Okay, I was having fun drawing a little bit on here. You have a couple different scenarios. What's interesting about this is the way we use, you know, you guys know this that are in the room, we use Fibonacci on a proprietary level mixed in with zones and so forth. Okay, and what I'm looking at is that your greater reward is to the downside in this scenario, unlike JPM and unlike Citi. Okay, so based off of Fibonacci's and zones, my long-term entry is way down here at 172. Say it ain't so. Oh, it's so. It can definitely happen. Okay. So what we're looking at here is price can break out to the T1 side. I would like to get it at the 61.8, which is 211. Okay. This is where, you know, somewhere in here, right before 61.8, you know, somewhere in here, maybe 23.6% of the 50 and 61.8. And if you're in the room, you know what I'm talking about. And then once we hit there, I would expect, you know, a nice bounce, possibly into the 38.2, but then a breakdown again and a second test of 61.8. And then overall, 85% probability after we break that down into the 88.7 down here at 183. Long-term entry falls within this entire area, okay? So again, you want to set an alert up right around this area. And you do that at or below 185.98 or so, whatever you feel like doing, okay? So that's what I'm looking at on GS. So upside targets, okay, can see 235 to 250. To the downside, I'd expect 61.8. So tomorrow, possibly 223 if given the opportunity. See if it can hold. If not, expect it to come down and test 211 in the upcoming weeks. T2 to the downside, you know, even though I have T2 here, it's because that's a higher projected goal. But in between there, expect a fake bounce here at the 76.4 at 196. Looking at earnings on this guy, 717 before market open. So that's it. I'll see you guys in the morning on Friday. And I'd expect, you know, going into tomorrow, nothing any different than what we've been getting, which is a bunch of muck chop going into the summer months. So just hang tight, reserve your capital, keep your losses small, okay, and let your winners ride, okay? Anyways, that's it. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to me. You know where to find me, and have a blessed night, and we'll see you in the morning.